To me, clowns aren't funny. In fact, they're kind of scary. I think this goes back to the time when I was at the circus and a clown killed my dad. This quote was said by Jack Handy, who's a comedian. So obviously he was just joking, but to some people, clowns really aren't that funny. Birthdays, circuses, and movies are places where all of us can see clowns every day of our lives. There are several aspects behind the stereotypes of clowns, and we will discuss them today. First, we will talk about the history of clowns and where they originated. Second, we will talk about what it takes to become a clown. Third, we will talk about clown phobias and why people are scared of them. And finally, we will discuss famous clowns.
The origins of clowns go back farther than many of us would think. According to Kevin Andrews' article, History of Clowns and Clowning, written in 2009, clowns originated from court jesters and fools. They have been around for thousands of years and have been seen in kingdoms in Egypt, China, and Europe. In European kingdoms, jesters were the only people who were allowed to insult or make fun of the king. This disregard for society's role would soon become a trademark of clowning. As you can see here, this is an example of a gesture, and you can see the similarities between what we would think of clowns today and the clowns from before, like with their costume and just the way they dress, and it wasn't really what we would consider normal. According to Joseph Derwin's article, Coulrophobia and the Trickster, written in 2006, clowns were also common in Native American societies. In many tribes, they were the only people who were allowed to insult the gods, subvert social norms, and perform sexually obscene acts. They also had magical capabilities of fertility and healing and would enforce tribal rules. Because of this, clowns were considered necessary as well as helpful to society, despite their rude behavior. In many tribes, they were also considered a kind of shaman and would heal diseases caused by demons. Across the globe, clowns have been challenging societal norms for many years, as they continue to do so today, with some added education.
Well, being a clown takes more than just dressing up in a fancy suit, putting white makeup on, and acting stupid. According to Cynthia Pratt's article, Starting a Professional Clown Business, published 2010, not everyone is fit to be a clown, because most clowns have to have a great sense of humor, be very happy around people, and have a great sense of drama. They also have to be very joyous and enthusiastic and be able to show this to the audience that they are performing to. Now, as stated by Julie Buckley in her article published on clownschool.net in 2011, you can go to a school to become a clown. And one of these schools is the Academy of Performing Arts in Clowning, and that is one of the more prestigious clown schools. Now, there are two different types of clown schools you can take, and as Julie Buckley went on to say, one of them is a traditional classroom class like this one, and that would just be where you sit around with other people who are planning to be a clown. And the other one is an online class where you can go in just like a chat room or something and just learn how to be a clown through that. Now, these classes just teach you the basics, such as how to dress, how to perform, and how to do the little things such as making balloon animals, and in general, just making people laugh. Now, some of these classes can get very expensive, maybe even costing upwards of $1,500. Now, that seems pretty outrageous. And some of the classes are scams, so they'll just steal your money. And you just gotta be careful for the classes that you're signing up for. Just research a bit before you sign up. Now, in Julie Ellie's article, How to Become a Clown, published on ehow.com in 2012, she says that you should start small when you're trying to become a clown. You've got to constantly practice because, like sports wherein, extracurricular activities, you can't just walk right up to stage or just randomly go in a game and be like, I'm set for this, I'm going to be the best ever, if you haven't even tried. So you just got to constantly practice the art of clowning, and you've got to use people you know for gigs, like people you, if somebody's kid's having a birthday party maybe, and they're looking for somebody to entertain the kids, you could just say, oh, I am trying to be a clown, could I come to the party and just be a clown there, I guess. And in general, you've just got to be well-liked by people, so then they'll contact you when there's an opening or if there's an entertainer needed. Now, clowns are meant to entertain, but not everybody cares for the profession.
That is correct. In fact, some people even fear the actual clown, the stereotype of the clown. This term is called coulrophobia. The term literally means, according to Julie Ellie's article on How to Become a Clown at ehow.com, updated 2012, the term literally means people who are afraid of men on stilts. And they use this term for the fear of clowns as well. But it is used really broadly because they use that fear with mimes as well. It all makes sense because a mime is just a black and white clown. And so, according to Christy Young's article on Does Clown Phobias Really Exist at healthguideinfo.com, copyright October 23rd, 2010, the media portrays the clown as really evil. As you can see here, this is a storyboard for Killer Clowns from Outer Space. This is a horrible movie that was made in 1988. I watched this just to get an idea on how clowns act. This got me nowhere. And because the clown does not act as so evil and killer. I mean, it's stupid, you know? And so, pretty much, it's the media's fault that it's the clown is so evil. And so, an idea comes to mind, exactly how does coulrophobia start? One idea comes to mind as a child, when you probably get a clown from the performing arts, and you would go to the party. Problem is, something could mess up, and it could scar the children or the child for the rest of his or her life. And because of that, it will affect them their entire lives, and whenever they see a clown, they will get scared. Now another idea comes to mind as, they're not really afraid, but more of confusion along the lines. Because clowns, they use a thing called slapstick comedy, which is pretty much physical humor, where they use pies, mallets, bats, all that fun stuff to hurt each other just to make us laugh. The problem is, they'll have those smiles on their faces, and so that just sends the wrong message, because when kids fight, they're usually angry. Clowns are happy, and they do the same exact stuff. And so it's not, they're really scared. It's more along the lines of just being, yeah, I'm sorry. Anyways, as we go back to Julia's article on how to become a clown at ehow.com, there are some different reactions when it comes to coulrophobia. Some people can have it really minor, as to sweating up a storm, or probably shortness of breath and they'll faint whenever they see a clown. Sometimes it can get so bad that they would have a fight or flight response. If you're not in psychology, that means that either you're going to encounter the problem, you will survive the storm, so to say, or you will run out of there as fast as you can because you do not want to see the likes of a clown. I personally have seen both these experiences at a circus I went to once. It is ugly. I'm just saying that right now. It is horrible. And so we have seen how people can be afraid of the stereotype of the clown. And so what are some examples of the stereotype of the clown. Each of us has looked at a specific famous clown that has made the stereotype of the clown. I, for one, have shown Bozo the clown. So, who is Bozo the clown, you ask? You've heard the term all the time. But who is the man of mystery, so to say? Well, he has really made the iconic look that is today, with the red hair, the red nose, the white face. He really set the standard for the typical clown. And so it all started in 1949 by the name of Pinto Lovag. What he did was, he got the idea from a book and started making shows all across the East Coast to entertain the people. He did this for about 7 years or so, according to History of Bozo the Clown at bozotheleclown.org, copyrighted April 26, 2011. And so he did this for 7 years, and then in 1956, a guy by the name of Larry Harmon came around and bought pretty much the rights to Bozo. And so what he pretty much did was set up a kind of plan to have all the local stations have their own version of a show called the Bozo Show. He did this for like probably 1 or 2 seasons, but unfortunately all of them failed, except for one, and that was in Chicago. That show lasted for about 40 years or so, and so that one pretty much helped make Bozo the stereotype of the clown. And so he did this all the way to July 14th, 2001, which was the last airing of the Bozo Show in Chicago. And so along the way, he has met the standard for what the stereotype of a clown is. And you'll probably see his face on a bag of popcorn or a bag of cotton candy next time you go to the circus. And so, as for Larry Harmon, the creator, he passed away in 2008 due to heart failure. So Bozo has definitely set a happy standard for the stereotype of the clown. But now, let's look at a more not-so-happy clown.
Okay, one horrific image of a clown, in other words, compared to Bozo, would be Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Now, this came from the novel in 1986 from Stephen King, as cited by Kevin Andrews, who is a clown himself, from allaboutclowns.com, copyrighted 2009. And there was also a movie in 1990 about this same novel called It. Many of you probably have seen it. It's an older movie. And the creature in this movie takes the form of a clown, which is typically a fear of many small children. And as you can maybe kind of see here, it's kind of fuzzy, but it's he's got the evil expression, as the teeth are that symbol, but he's still got the hair and the nose and the white face. So it's just him taking the form of a clown, and he terrorizes children and eats them. And one example of this is in the movie. A little kid named Georgie was playing with his little sailboat, and it happens to flow into a drain when it was raining. And all of a sudden, the creature appears in the drain and starts talking to Georgie and trying to convince him to come closer and get his boat as the clown had it. And eventually, he tricks little Georgie into trying to retrieve his boat, and he is killed by the creature, as you can see. And this is relevant as to how the media will use clowns as a way to scare people. And now we'll look at another pretty horrific clown.
Alright, well, all of us probably know about Batman, and all of those people also know about the Joker, who is one of the most iconic villains in the Batman universe. Now, he got his start back in 1940, and he was a crazy homicidal maniac, but then in the 50s and 60s, they slowly turned him into just a wacky guy, and that changed though in Alan Moore's comic called The Killing Joke, titled The Killing Joke, published in 1988. Now, this comic showed the origin story of the Joker. At first, it introduced the Joker as a normal, or as an unnamed comedian who had recently quit his job at a chemical plant to pursue his dreams as a comedian, but he failed horribly at them. And then he decided, since he couldn't support his pregnant wife, that he would accept the offer of helping two guys do a heist of the chemical plant that he had just quit working at. So he accepted that, and then once they came in, or once they went in to do the heist, the two other guys immediately got shot down, and as the soon-to-be Joker was running away, he encountered Batman, who had come to deal with the problem. So in his fear, he had jumped out into a chemical vat, but then later he woke up and arose from a nearby reservoir with the iconic white skin, green hair, and just a really demented grin. Now, this image is actually taken from The Killing Joke, and it takes place right after he comes up from the reservoir, and he has an uncontrollable laughter. And after that, all the bad events that happened that day, had led him to become the Joker and led him to hate Batman. So that's one of the not the best presentations of a clown.
Alright, well, on to a happier clown. We all know Ronald McDonald for his joyful personality, his high spirits. What we don't know though is, according to David Bogie, copyright 2004, he was based off of Bozo the Clown, which we discussed earlier. He was originally played by William Scott, who was a local weatherman in Washington, D.C. And he would go around to his local McDonald's and dress up in the clown suit. He just liked to cheer all the kids up, and make McDonald's a fun experience for everybody. He's shown in this picture right here. It's like a classic image of him, all happy, cheering everyone up. According to the same source, he was fired for being too fat. McDonald's wanted to uphold a healthier image, and so they made their own version of Ronald McDonald, slimmed him down, changed him up a little bit, updated his outfit, and now about every 4 to 6 years they change his look, whether it's tweaking the stripes on his socks or the makeup on his eyes or face. They like to change him up a lot, just for something new. He was also, he has his own charity, Ronald McDonald House. Most of you have probably heard of it. And this is another positive image that Ronald portrays. He gives sick families and with sick kids homes and places to stay until they get better. Overall though, Ronald is a more positive clown that is obviously famous, and he has a better impact on us than more of the other ones that we've talked about.
It's kind of hard to talk about clowns without John Wayne Gacy coming up at some point in the conversation. As many of us know, John Wayne Gacy was a serial killer who left an indelible mark on how society views clowns. According to Rachel Bell and Marilyn Bartley's article, John Wayne Gacy Jr., published 2012, John Wayne Gacy was most active in the 1970s. He was also very active in his community and well-liked by everyone he met. As an integral part of the local community, he ran a construction company, and it was here that he met most of his victims. He hired young men, mostly teenagers, and would lure them into his home after gaining their trust. He was arrested in 1978 and was soon discovered that he murdered over 33 people. And as you can see here, this is one of the victims down in his home. And he also enjoyed dressing up as a clown to entertain at neighborhood parties that he was famous for throwing, and this is his clown makeup. However, he did not dress up as a clown to kill or abduct his victims. It was just kind of a hobby on the side. Still, the media has kind of latched on to the idea of a real-life killer clown and kind of just exploited that to the colorful bit.
Alright, we have explored the history of clowns, what it takes to be a clown, and the fear of clowns, as well as some very famous clowns. And there are many aspects about clowns that many people just don't know and are oblivious to it. And even though clowns may seem happy, there may be another face behind the makeup.